I stared at my phone screen, reading Mom's text asking when I'd come over for dinner. Same routine as always, first check if Sarah would be there. My stomach churned just thinking about my sister's name. At 28, I had a good life on paper. Nice apartment downtown, corner office at Marshall & Partners where I worked as PR manager, and enough money to live comfortably. But family gatherings? Those required careful planning. Is Sarah coming? I texted back. No, Candace, she's with friends tonight, Mom replied. Relief washed over me. I could go. It wasn't always this complicated, there was a time when we were just a normal family. Well, as normal as you can be when your dad dies and leaves behind 2 toddlers. I was 2, Sarah barely 1 when it happened. Tom, our stepfather, came into our lives when I was 3. He never tried to replace Dad, but he became our father in every way that mattered. Teaching me to ride a bike, threatening my first boyfriend, crying at my high school graduation, he was there for everything. Coming over at 7, I texted Mom back. Driving to their house, I thought about how things used to be. Sarah and I sharing a room, fighting over clothes, typical sister stuff. But Sarah always had this thing about her, she needed to have whatever I had. My toys would mysteriously end up in her bed. My favorite sweater would disappear into her closet. My friends would suddenly become her friends. I pulled into the driveway, smelling Tom's famous lasagna, before I even reached the door. He wrapped me in a big bear hug as I entered. There's my girl, he beamed. Just in time, dinner's almost ready. Mom bustled around the kitchen, adding final touches to the salad. Sweetie, you work too hard. You look tired. PR never sleeps, Mom, I laughed, helping her set the table. We chatted about work, about Tom's bowling league, about Mom's garden. Normal family stuff. But there was always this elephant in the room, the reason I had to check if Sarah would be there before visiting. 3 years ago, I had it all figured out. Jake and I had been together since senior year of college. He was perfect, kind, successful, funny. We were planning our wedding, had sent out invitations, picked the venue. 2 months before the big day, I stopped by his apartment to surprise him with lunch. I still remember the sound of my heels on his hardwood floor, the way the afternoon light filtered through his bedroom window. The sight of them together, my fiancé and my sister, tangled in his sheets. My wedding dress was hanging in my closet at home. The centerpieces were being assembled in Mom's garage. The screaming started immediately. Jake stammering excuses, Sarah just sitting there with this look on her face. Not even shame, something else. Satisfaction maybe? Actually, you should thank me, she said after Jake left the room. I showed you his true colors. He would have cheated after the wedding anyway. I canceled everything, the venue, the flowers, the dress. Sent back the gifts. Dealt with the pitying looks and awkward conversations. But the worst part? Sarah's attitude. Like she'd done me a favor. Like betraying me was some kind of twisted act of sisterly love. She dated him for 6 months after that, flaunting it on social media, before moving on to someone else. Just like she'd moved on from my toys, my clothes, my friends. But this time, she'd broken something that couldn't be replaced. My parents tried to stay neutral after the whole Jake disaster. I guess that's what parents are supposed to do, love both their children equally, even when one of them betrays the other. Mom and Tom would listen to my anger, nod sympathetically, but they never cut Sarah off. She was still welcome at Sunday dinners, still got invited to family events, still had her childhood bedroom kept exactly as she left it. We understand how you feel, honey, Mom would say, stirring her coffee. But she's still your sister. Tom tried to be supportive in his own way. Time heals all wounds, kiddo, he'd say, patting my hand awkwardly across the dinner table. But he didn't understand. This wasn't about time. Every visit to their house became a strategic operation. I'd text ahead, making sure the coast was clear. Mom would try to slip in comments about Sarah, how she was doing, how she missed me. As if Sarah was the victim in all this. She asks about you, Mom mentioned during one dinner. She feels terrible about what happened. I stabbed my fork into my pot roast. Terrible enough to sleep with my fiancé 2 months before my wedding? The silence that followed was deafening. Mom pushed her food around her plate, and Tom suddenly became very interested in his green beans. Then came that Tuesday evening. I arrived at their house to find Mom and Tom already at the dinner table, the mood unusually somber. Mom's eyes were red-rimmed, and Tom looked exhausted. "What's wrong?" I asked, hanging my coat by the door. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. "Sit down, honey. We need to talk about something." Tom reached across the table and took Mom's hand. He looked older somehow, more worn down than usual. "The doctor says I need to cut back on work," he said quietly. "My blood pressure's through the roof, and my heart." He trailed off, squeezing Mom's hand. Tom switching to part-time, Mom continued, her voice shaky. "We'll manage, but things are going to be tight for a while." I watched them both, these people who had given me everything, looking scared and vulnerable. Tom, who'd never asked me for anything, who'd raised me as his own, now couldn't meet my eyes. "How much do you need?" I asked without hesitation. Mom looked up, relief flooding her face. "Even $1,000 a month would help, just until we figure things out." "Done," I said immediately. "I'll set up a monthly transfer tomorrow." 4 months later, I was scrolling through my calendar when a date caught my eye. June 15th, Mom and Tom's 25th wedding anniversary was coming up. A quarter-century of love, commitment, and raising 2 girls who weren't even his. One of whom turned out to be, well, Sarah. The idea hit me during a client meeting, of all places. We were discussing a luxury resort campaign in Hawaii, and suddenly I could picture Mom and Tom there, enjoying the sunset, finally taking the vacation they'd never been able to afford when we were kids. I spent my lunch break researching hotels, comparing amenities, reading reviews. By the time I drove to their house for our weekly dinner, I could barely contain my excitement. "You two better sit down," I announced, bursting through their front door. Mom looked up from the stove, spatula frozen mid-flip. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong," I grinned, pulling up the booking website on my phone. "But you might want to clear your schedules for the first 2 weeks of June." Tom settled into his chair at the kitchen table. "Why's that, kiddo?" "Because," I said, building the suspense, "you're going to Hawaii." The silence lasted exactly 2 seconds before Mom dropped her spatula. "What do you mean, Hawaii?" she whispered. I showed them the pictures on my phone, the luxury beachfront hotel, the infinity pool overlooking the ocean, the elegant restaurant with views of the sunset. "First-class tickets," I explained, scrolling through the itinerary. 2 weeks at the Royal Hawaiian. Ocean view suite with a private balcony. Couples massage package included. Consider it your 25th anniversary present. Mom's hands flew to her mouth, tears welling up in her eyes. "Oh, honey, we can't possibly." "You can, and you will," I insisted. "You've both worked so hard, taken care of everyone else for so long. It's time someone took care of you." Tom stood up and pulled me into one of his bear hugs. "This is too much, sweetheart." "Nothing's too much for the best parents in the world," I said, hugging him back. We spent the rest of dinner planning. I showed them the booking confirmations, the flight details, all the extras I'd added to make it special. Mom kept wiping her eyes, looking at the hotel pictures over and over. "I need to buy a new swimsuit," she declared, her voice full of excitement. "And maybe a beach hat. Oh, and sunscreen. Tom, we need to get you some proper beach clothes too." Tom just sat there grinning, occasionally shaking his head in disbelief. "I can't remember the last time we had a proper vacation," Mom said, reaching for her phone. "I need to request the time off first thing." "Me too," Tom added. "Though I'm sure they'll understand. 25 years is a big deal." I watched them plan and dream, their faces lit up like kids at Christmas. Mom was already talking about never leaving the water, about reading books on the beach, about walking hand in hand along the shore with Tom. I've already paid for everything, I explained, showing them the confirmation emails. All you need to do is pack and show up at the airport. Mom got up and hugged me again, her cheeks wet with happy tears. You're such a good daughter, Candace. We're so lucky to have you. The day before their departure, I was organizing my schedule to take them to the airport when Mom called. Hey, sweetie, she said, her voice slightly higher than usual. About tomorrow. Already planned it out, I replied, pulling up my calendar. I'll take an extended lunch break and drive you guys to the airport. Oh, no, Mom interrupted quickly. You don't need to do that. We'll just take a taxi. I frowned at my computer screen. Mom, it's no trouble, I want to see you off. Really, honey, we don't want you disrupting your workday. You know how busy you are with that new client campaign. Something felt off about her tone, but I couldn't place it. Are you sure? It's really no problem. We're sure, she cut in firmly, the taxi's already booked. I leaned back in my office chair, that nagging feeling growing stronger. Well, okay. If you're certain. Absolutely certain, Mom said, too quickly. Now, I need to go finish packing. After hanging up, I stared at my phone for a moment before dialing her number again. Sorry, just thought of something, I can stop by and water your plants while you're gone. Those roses of yours need daily attention in this heat. There was a pause, just a fraction too long. Oh, no need to worry about that. Mrs. Johnson next door already agreed to handle it. Mrs. Johnson, I repeated. The one who killed her own garden last summer? She's gotten much better, Mom said hurriedly. Really, everything's taken care of. You focus on work. That evening, I sat in my apartment trying to shake off the weird feeling from our conversations. Mom was probably just excited about the trip, I told myself. First real vacation in years, of course she'd be acting a little strange. The next day dragged by at work. I kept checking my phone, waiting for updates. Finally, around 5:30, a text came through. On the plane. Taking off now. Thank you again for this amazing gift, sweetie. Love you. I smiled at my phone, picturing them settling into their first-class seats, Mom already planning which pool to try first. But as I drove home, I couldn't shake the urge to check on their house. Just to make sure everything was locked up properly. The familiar streets of my childhood neighborhood were quiet in the early evening light. I turned onto their street, mentally rehearsing what I'd tell Mrs. Johnson if she spotted me checking the house. Then I saw it. Warm light spilled from the living room windows, casting a golden glow onto Mom's rose bushes. The TV's blue flicker was visible through the curtains. They were supposed to be 30,000 feet in the air by now. Someone was in my parents' house. My first instinct was to call the police, someone had broken in. But then I noticed Mom's garden gnome was still in its usual spot by the front door. Burglars wouldn't have moved it back so precisely after breaking in. My hand shook slightly as I pulled my old house key from my purse. Taking a deep breath, I approached the door as quietly as possible. The TV's volume was low, but I could hear the familiar sound of ESPN's SportsCenter, Tom's nightly routine. My stomach dropped. I turned the key in the lock and pushed the door open. There he was, my stepfather, lounging on his recliner with a beer in hand, feet propped up on the coffee table. He looked up at the sound of the door, and the color drained from his face. What the hell are you doing here? I demanded, my voice echoing through the house. You're supposed to be on a plane to Hawaii right now. With Mom. Remember? He wouldn't meet my eyes, instead focusing on the growing beer stain on the carpet. Listen, sweetie, I can explain. Where is Mom? Each word came out like ice. Tom's shoulders slumped. He looked smaller somehow, standing there in his old Rangers t-shirt and sweatpants. She went with Sarah. The room started spinning. What? Sarah's been having a rough time lately, he stammered. Financial problems, depression, your mother thought she needed this trip more than I did. The monthly money you've been sending has really helped her get back on her feet. Everything stopped. The TV's drone faded away. The room went still. What monthly money? His face told me everything before he even opened his mouth. The $1,000 I'd been sending each month. The money I thought was helping them through Tom's health issues. It had all been going to Sarah. Your mother thought, we thought. Tom's voice cracked. Sarah needed the help, and we knew you wouldn't want to. Stop, my voice was eerily calm now. You've been lying to me for months. Taking my money and giving it to her. And now you've let her steal my anniversary gift too? Tom reached for me, but I backed away. The father who taught me to ride a bike, who threatened my first boyfriend, who walked me down the aisle at what should have been my wedding, he was a stranger now. Please, let me explain, he begged. Sarah's been going through such a hard time. I held up my hand. Save it, I don't want to hear about poor Sarah's problems. Not anymore. I got in my car and started the engine, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. As I backed out of the driveway, I caught one last glimpse of Tom standing in the doorway, looking lost and small in the porch light. The drive home was a blur. My mind kept replaying every dinner, every conversation, every time they'd asked about the monthly transfers. How long had they been planning this? How many other lies had they told me? I pulled into my apartment complex's parking lot, but I couldn't bring myself to get out of the car just yet. The magnitude of their betrayal was still sinking in. My mother. My stepfather. The two people I trusted most in the world. And Sarah, always Sarah. Taking and taking and taking. I sat at my kitchen counter, laptop open, hands steady, despite the rage burning inside me. A quick calculation, with the time difference, they should have landed in Hawaii by now. Probably heading to check in at the hotel I'd spent weeks researching, the one with the perfect ocean view I'd specifically requested for them. I dialed the hotel's number, drumming my fingers on the counter as I waited. Royal Hawaiian, how may I assist you today? A cheerful voice answered. Hi, I need to cancel a reservation immediately, my voice was surprisingly calm. It's under Candace Mitchell. Oh yes, I see the booking here. 2 weeks, Ocean View Suite. The receptionist paused. The guests haven't checked in yet. Is everything all right? No, it's not, I need to cancel it, right now. I understand there might be fees. Well, this is quite unusual. He sounded confused. But yes, I can process that cancellation for you. There will be a substantial penalty. I don't care about the penalty. Just cancel it. After handling the hotel, I logged into my airline account. 2 first-class return tickets, scheduled for 2 weeks from now. Cancel. Confirm. Done. Then, against my better judgment, I opened Instagram. I hadn't looked at Sarah's profile in years, I'd blocked her after the Jake incident. But now, I needed to see. I created a dummy account and found her page easily. It was exactly what I expected, only worse. There she was, posing in designer clothes I knew she couldn't afford. Standing outside expensive restaurants, champagne glass in hand. Every caption more smug than the last. Living my best life on someone else's dime. Why pay when others will do it for you? Another day of luxury, courtesy of my secret admirer. I scrolled until I found today's posts. The airport waiting lounge. Sarah and Mom, all smiles and vacation clothes, posed in front of the first-class check-in counter. My mother, who'd raised us to be honest, to work hard for what we wanted, beaming next to her younger daughter like this was all perfectly normal. Sarah's caption, off to Hawaii for the vacation I deserve. Someone special is making all my dreams come true. The comments rolled in. Oh my god girl, your new man must be loaded. Spill the tea. Who's the mystery sponsor? First class? You have to tell us who he is. Sarah's responses were just winking emojis and a lady never kisses and tells. She was mocking me. She knew exactly what she was doing, flaunting my money, my gift, my generosity. And Mom was right there with her, playing along with the charade. I closed my laptop and walked to the kitchen. My movements were mechanical as I made coffee, grind the beans, heat the water, pour it over the grounds. The familiar ritual helped steady my hands. Now all I had to do was wait. My phone started buzzing exactly 90 minutes after I'd canceled everything. Mom's name flashed on the screen. I watched it ring out. And again, and again. 10 calls. I counted them, sipping my now cold coffee, letting each one go to voicemail. On the 11th, I picked up. Candace, Mom's voice was frantic. Something's wrong. The hotel says our reservation was canceled. There must be some mistake. No mistake, I cut in, surprised by how steady my voice sounded. I canceled it. Silence. Then, what do you mean, you canceled it? I stopped by the house earlier. Funny thing, Tom was home, watching TV. Didn't look much like he was in Hawaii. Another pause. When Mom spoke again, her voice had shifted to that calm, reasonable tone she used when explaining things to difficult clients at her job. Honey, let me explain. Your father and I discussed it, and we decided Sarah needed this vacation more than he did. He volunteered to give up his spot. Like I'd been volunteering $1,000 every month, the words came out sharp as glass. She needed help, Mom's voice rose. She's been struggling, and we knew you wouldn't understand. You're right, I don't understand. I don't understand how my mother could lie to my face for months. I don't understand how you could take my anniversary gift and give it to the sister who slept with my fiancé. Oh, for heaven's sake, Mom exploded. Are you still holding on to that? It was 3 years ago. You need to grow up and get over it. My laugh was hollow. Get over it? Like you got over stealing my money? Well, guess what? I canceled your return tickets too. Hope you both saved some of that money you've been scamming from me. You what? Her voice shot up an octave. Candace Mitchell, you fix this right now. You're being childish and vindictive. Is this really how you want to behave? Stranding your mother and sister in Hawaii? You should have thought about that before you lied to me. Before you let Sarah mock me on social media with my own money. I hung up before she could respond. The messages started immediately. Please, sweetie, don't do this to us. We can talk about this when we get home. You're breaking my heart. Then the tone changed. You selfish, ungrateful child. After everything we've done for you. You're just jealous of your sister's happiness. You're dead to me if you don't fix this right now. I watched the messages pile up, each one more desperate or cruel than the last. The mother I thought I knew disappeared with each notification, replaced by someone I didn't recognize at all. Sarah's message came through an unknown number around midnight. You think you're so much better than everyone else, don't you? Well, guess what? You're just a jealous, bitter bitch who can't stand to see me happy. Mom's right about you. You're pathetic. Have fun sitting alone in your apartment while we enjoy Hawaii. I blocked her number without responding. Then I blocked Mom's. And Tom's. The TV droned in the background, some cooking show where everyone was kind to each other and problems could be solved in 30 minutes. Aunt Linda called me a week into their trip. They're staying at the Paradise Inn, she reported. It's not exactly the Royal Hawaiian. Your mother had to max out her credit card just for that. I didn't ask, I said, but she continued anyway. They flew back economy class. Sarah complained the whole time about the legroom. Your mother told me not to tell you any of this, but... She paused. I think you had every right to do what you did. The next few weeks passed in a blur of work and quiet evenings alone. I reorganized my apartment, started taking yoga classes, had dinner with friends who didn't know my family drama. Life went on. Then, exactly 1 month after the Hawaii incident, an unfamiliar number lit up my phone. Where's this month's money? Mom demanded without preamble. It's the 5th, and nothing's come through. I almost laughed. Are you serious? Of course I'm serious. Sarah needs to get a job, I cut in. I'm done funding her lifestyle. So that's it? Mom's voice turned cold. You're just cutting off your family? Family? Now I did laugh. You mean the people who lied to me for months? Who took advantage of my generosity? Who stole my gift and turned it into some sick joke? If you do this, Mom warned, if you stop helping us, you're cutting yourself off from this family. The irony was almost too much. No, Mom, you cut me off the moment you decided to lie to me. Twice. The monthly payments, the vacation, those were just the final nails in the coffin. Don't call me again. That was 4 months ago. Sometimes I drive past their house on my way somewhere else. Mom's roses are wilting. Mrs. Johnson really isn't much of a gardener. The porch swing where I had my first kiss needs a new coat of paint. Tom's car is always in the driveway now. I heard through Aunt Linda that his health actually did take a turn. I wonder sometimes if I could have handled things differently. If I could have been more understanding about Sarah's supposed depression, more forgiving of Mom's misguided attempts to help her favorite daughter, more accepting of Tom's passive role in it all. Then I remember Sarah's social media posts, flaunting my money. Mom's casual lies over dinner. Tom sitting alone in that house, covering for them both. The years of Sarah taking, and everyone letting her. Some betrayals leave marks that don't fade. Some trust, once broken, can't be repaired. Some family ties, it turns out, are actually chains that need to be broken.